Sushmita, and you're listening to the University of Chicago Public Policy Podcast.
Hi listeners, this is Susan Paykin, and you're listening to the University of Chicago Public Policy Podcasts. Today we're bringing you a very special episode of the Phone Diaries. Phone Diaries is a project exploring human relationships to smartphones and technology. Every month, founders Laurence Warner and Tushar Kelkar hold a smartphone detox challenge, encouraging people to switch out their smartphones for flip phones for 1 week. How do our phones influence and control us? What does a 1 week phone detox really feel like? These are just some of the questions that Phone Diaries explores. Over the last year, Laurence has been spreading the smartphone detox gospel all over the world. In today's episode, he takes us to the Fulbright conference in Puebla, Mexico for a fascinating conversation on phones and modern living. If you like what you hear, please remember to subscribe and like UC3P on your favorite podcast platform. And now, enjoy this episode of UC3P Presents the Phone Diaries.
First week flip phone, the smartphone detox. Can you survive without a smartphone in 2018? Until the end of the year, we're giving up our smartphones for the first Monday to Sunday of each month to find out. This is Phone Diaries with Laurence Warner
and Tushar Kelkar.
Him bake got Bowie banging in the tape. Big brick Nokia, man playing Snake.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the November special edition of Phone Diaries. This month's episode features me, Tushar, as the host rather than Laurence, and the reason for that is Laurence is actually in Puebla, Mexico, of all places. The reason being he is on the Fulbright Association's annual conference, representing Phone Diaries, of all things. The conference is basically bringing together all of those people doing the Fulbright Scholarship, where they present some of their research, some of their interesting insights they've been finding on their year's scholarship program. And Laurence is leading a roundtable discussion where he talks exactly about what we have been talking about for the last 6 months. So without further ado, let's jump into a conversation that Laurence is having at the conference hall, right at the start of the conference, with Jessica Alabank.
So I'm here today with our first viewer of our little poster we put up at the conference hall here in Puebla. I'd like to introduce Jessica Alabank.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Jessica. And how are you doing?
Good. It's a beautiful city, right? We're very lucky to be here.
We're very lucky. Did you enjoy the little dance show that we just had put on for us?
Yes, absolutely.
That's awesome, Jessica. And what brings you to the Fulbright conference this week?
Yeah, so I serve as program manager of the Fulbright Specialist Program, which is a grant program for American professionals and academics to go abroad for 2 to 6 weeks to support a host institution abroad. So I'm here just generally to promote that program and see if we have any future grantees amongst us.
Nice. That sounds really cool. That's awesome. So is it for like American folk to go abroad from America?
Yeah, exactly. And there's over 150 participating countries. And host institutions abroad, predominantly universities, design a project that serves their institutional needs. And the Americans go over there to support those priorities.
That sounds really, really interesting. I love that a lot. So why don't you describe for our listeners the room that we're standing in today and what's going on at 10:30 a.m. on the first day of the Fulbright conference?
Yes, so we're in this beautiful space here where we have really, it seems like a diverse group of Fulbright grantees, Fulbright implementers, who are all here to tell their stories, if they did do grants or to help promote Fulbright programs overall. So very good energy so far this morning, so it's a good way to kind of kick off the overall conference.
Yeah, and so we have, we're standing and there's about 2 rows of like thin poster board with these kind of big like A2 sized posters like lined up, right? And what's the first one you saw when you walked in?
So the first one I saw was Life Without a Smartphone in 2018, and the title immediately grabs your attention because you really reflect for a moment on, oh man, what would it really be like if my entire life was no longer in my pocket?
Right, yeah, and we were talking about the idea of the flip phone survival kit and the fact you miss the old disposable cameras.
Yes, absolutely. I can't tell you the last time that I had either a disposable or a regular camera in my pocket. I can't even tell you.
Wow. Well, hopefully, maybe come Christmas time, someone's going to be very kind, and you'll unwrap a little something to snap some shots at the table. Well, anyway, Jessica, thank you so much for chatting to Flip Phone Diaries today.
Him bake up while we banging in the tape. Big brick Nokia, man playing Snake.
It's a very interesting start to the conference. I'm sure everyone can agree. That poster that Laurence has put up is sure to grab everyone's attention. And I'm also excited to hear on next month's episode what exactly that dance performance entailed. So tune in to December pre-detox edition to find out how exactly they played out. The next conversation that Laurence has, we're going to jump right into the middle of one that he has with Fedia, an Algerian living in America, who has tried and, by the sounds of it, failed to complete the Shabbat on a Friday to Saturday, and decides that perhaps a first week flip phone, the week-long detox, is a much more manageable process.
Fedia here is miming scrolling through a feed. Tell us, Fedia, what is it that you're scrolling through there?
I want to do that. Like, I threaten to do the Saturday Shabbat, where, like, I don't do that for a day, because I hate using my phone, and I hate people who use their phones when they're with me. Yeah. But it's a challenge, because, like, I live in the U.S. and I'm Algerian, and I need to talk to my mother via Messenger. I don't know, I need to talk to her, for example. So I don't want to do the Facebook that every day. I don't want to look at stupid apps like Pinterest or something like that. Yeah. I want to do this because I feel it hurt my brain.
Fedia, I would love for you to give first week flip phone a go. That would be fantastic. But I'm curious as to, you're talking about the Shabbat, and I love it. I'm curious to hear about an Algerian doing the Shabbat. Tell me more about that idea.
I saw it on TV or I read about it somewhere, and I tried to do it, but I do it.
So tell us more exactly what happens. I'm guessing it's a Saturday.
On Saturday, you're not supposed to use your anything digital. You don't use internet, you don't use your smartphones, you don't use anything like your laptop, nothing. So that's what you're supposed to do every Saturday, and it's hard because, like, I'm a student, I need my laptop.
So you found the one day off the tech hard, but you fancy giving the week a go. Is that what I'm hearing?
I'll definitely do that. You know what? I will do it. I'm going home this December to Algeria. Yeah, I'll do that.
So yeah, you could. The one day is too hard. So we're gonna dump in for 7 instead.
Yeah.
Him bake up while we banging in the tape. Big brick Nokia, man playing Snake.
It's a pretty amusing conversation there that Laurence had in Puebla. I think everyone can find some analogy between some of the experiences that Laurence and I have reported that we've had over the past 6 months about being late to events or, miscommunicating with other people for brunches. It's pretty difficult to make it through the first week flip phone of every month. And it sounds like Fetia has kind of suffered from the exact same problem where it's just difficult because, as she said, Messenger, you need to be able to talk to your parents who don't necessarily have a messaging communication platform available away from the smartphone. So all of those difficulties summarized there by Fetia. Moving forward onto the next little interview snippet that we have, Laurence has a really interesting conversation with a teacher called Anna Marcella. Anna is using the smartphone as a learning platform and device for actually enhancing the students' experience within the classroom. And she talks a lot about how the smartphone is a tool where, if used passively as a consumption device for unnecessary information, it is a kind of waste of space and a waste of resources, but it does have the potential to transform the student's experience within the classroom.
The advantage of doing just the flip phone, or, the detox from the smartphone, is you can still use your computer. And so, I do a lot of my work on my phone, and it's like, well, I guess I just have to do it at the computer, and I get a lot more done because I'm actually, fully engaging and doing my work rather than half-assedly doing it.
That is challenging because you have Facebook, you have YouTube, you have on your laptop, okay, I'm working on this project, but I get distracted. Oh, I need to put some music. Let's go to YouTube. And here's my page, new video from this person. Oh, I want to see that. No, go back to your project.
My research is about mobile learning and the use of mobile devices, especially with teenagers and everything. And the more I have read about the use of, social media, mobile devices and everything, I just left, to use my Facebook. Actually, the last 2 days I just posted some pictures. That's it. But I don't use my Facebook that much. I don't want to use my Facebook because of all the things that actually brings to the mind of the learners, basically, of the teenagers. So I am pro technology, but I'm against technology as well. I know the pros and the cons, and this is something I just want to be detox from Facebook or Instagram and those kind of things. I don't post that much, but I know that this is causing a lot of problems to teenagers especially, and I know that there are different advantages of using technology because that's basically my research, but at the same time there are a lot of disadvantages. I don't want to use technology that much, so that is a really cool thing.
Right? It's technology is a tool, and you want to be aware of how you're using it, not have it use you. So what's some?
But the way you use it is the point. That is the key. How you use it, how you implement it, for what, the purposes of using the technology.
So I'm really curious if you could introduce yourself and tell our listeners a little bit about what your research on mobile learning is, because that's a concept that is new to me, and I think they'd be really interested in hearing about that.
Well, basically, it is very new, especially in my country too. I am from Costa Rica. My name is Marcela Montenegro, and I'm studying at Sam Houston State, and this is for my dissertation. Basically, I'm going to research the perception of teachers integrating mobile devices in the classrooms. But I did a research before with students, and it was a book club. And the students said, the teenagers said, why don't we use our phones? Because they were just, into technology all the time. I brought their books to them, and they were like, why don't we use our phones? And then since then I said, okay, that would be great, because in Costa Rica we don't have so many resources. So the students basically use their phones to get all the information, to get updated. So they have to use their phones. And I was interested in the way the teachers were using their phones in the classrooms. And then I did a pilot study with teachers, and the teachers are not using their phones in the classroom. They are actually avoiding to use the phones with the students. And if they use the phones, it's just for a leisure time, and that calms the students.
That quality regenerative recess, being on the phone, and so using it as a productive tool, for learning, rather than just seeing it as a negative. Yeah.
So, what are some of the most promising, sort of, as Natalie says, productive learning tools that you think the mobile format can offer?
There are different apps that the teachers can actually use in the classrooms. It is a means of communication. The teachers can use these apps to communicate with the students. But my main concern is how they can create knowledge. And there are not many apps that can actually promote the construction of knowledge within the students. There are a lot of apps where you can consume and transmit the knowledge, but not a lot about how to create knowledge. And that is something that I would like to investigate more. There are not many, actually. There is a MIT app developer from Michigan MIT Institute, and that is a very cool app. Because you can create your own app. But I would like to do more about that, or I would like to create an app that can actually promote the knowledge construction among the students and teachers.
Do you know the name of that MIT app?
MIT App Development, or App Developer. That is the name. MIT App Developer.
That's really interesting. Well, I hope you are able to develop something. I'm Funnily enough, I'm actually prototyping an app that's similar for this space of like helping people coordinate like tech detoxes. But that's really interesting. I would really love to. Hopefully, we can stay